G'day battlers, and today we're doing something a little bit different because today we're going to be opening over 50 packs of the brand new Triumphant Light set that have been released into TCG Pocket over the last few days in celebration of Pokemon Day. And I guess in celebration further of Pokemon Day, the Pokémon Company International has hooked me up with 300 gold, which is going to help me open these over 50 packs. And essentially the game plan today is we're going to try and build a competitive deck out of the cards that we pull and, see how we go out in the wild. It's obviously it's the Wild West. No one is completely confident in what this deck is going to do, how this deck is going to go, and so really we'll just have to figure out. So obviously on top of the sort of 300 gold that we've obviously got our free booster packs and such, so which is why it is 50 plus. We're going to be able to open a few extras, and so there are some really nice looking. I'm a big fan of cards like this that are sort of that real world vibe. I don't know how competitively viable it's going to be, and that's really what we're, I guess, going to be focusing in on today. So we got the Bronzor, we got the Houndoom art, which is kind of crazy, the Snorunt, the Sudowoodo, and essentially we have to try and get some Arceus EX cards so that we can use all of the cards in this deck that are boosted by Arceus EX, and I'm sure we'll be able to see some examples of that pretty soon. We've got the Nose Pass. Krogunk is actually going to be a pretty important one because I know that the Toxicroak in this set can be pretty powerful as well. Clefable. During the opponent's next turn, attacks used by the defending Pokemon do minus 30 damage. That's not too bad. And Metacham maybe did just get a Pokemon Go buff in Dynamic Punch, but not so much here. Gengar, your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. That could be pretty useful. It's only 2 energy, which could be pretty handy, although you do have to get all the way to that 3rd stage evolution. Celestic Town Elder, the supporter cards are going to be pretty important as well. Put 1 random basic Pokemon from your discard pile into your hand. That could be pretty handy if you're in a tight spot, but when you've only got 20 card decks, I'm not sure how useful it's going to be. But, another Metacham. Eevee is also going to be a pretty big one because I know there is a Leafeon EX card in this deck, so we certainly need those 1st stage evolutions. Origin Form Dialga. Time Mash. Flip a coin. If tails, during your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack. Doesn't seem great to me, but, we'll see if we get desperate. If we get no pulls through these decks, then we might need to dip into it. Frostlass, this attack also does 10 damage to each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. That could be a pretty good setup Pokemon if we end up with a water deck. I'm not sure how much waterage is really going on in this particular set, but we'll see. Magneton, Snorunt, we get the Gibble as well. I know that Garchomp EX is a big part of this deck. Another Origin Form Dialga, Eevee, Zubat. And actually, that's a pretty sick card. That looks nice. I'm a big... look, obviously the cute Pokemon are always the best. I hope that there is an Azumarill card that is competitively viable so that I can run this card, because this looks sick. Bronzor. Okay, we're getting plenty of duplicates, including the Marill that we actually like, which again, because in your deck you can have 2 of each, that's not too bad, to be honest with you. I will definitely take that to the bank. Another Marill that isn't as pretty, but it's still a nice card. There it is, the Leafeon EX card. So once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may take a grass energy from your energy zone and attach it to one of your grass Pokemon. So it is essentially just an energy accelerator for grass decks, which can be really, really powerful, especially when it's got, a decent enough attack of 70 damage. It does cost 3 energy, and you've got a decent health pool of 140 HP. It is it's not the greatest card of all time because obviously it is an EX, which means that the opponent's going to take 2 points every time they KO it, but I think it's going to be a pretty solid foundation for a lot of decks, and so we'll definitely keep that one in mind as we sort of keep opening these packs, trying to create something that is a bit competitively viable. Speaking of competitively viable, this Arceus is definitely worse than the sort of Arceus EX, but it does sort of give us some ability to set up our things though. We've got the Mawile here. If your opponent's active Pokemon is a steel Pokemon, this attack does 30 more damage. So that's pretty specific. I don't think that's going to be super useful. We get the Raichu. Okay, this is the first one we're seeing that it has this sort of Arceus link that really gets boosted by having an Arceus around. So it was a Resilience link. If you have Arceus or Arceus EX in play, this Pokemon takes minus 30 damage from attacks. Now, I don't think this is one of the best ones. It's sort of, I guess, decent for the early game if you can get an Arceus onto the bench. But, you know, this attack does 20 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon while doing 40 Pokemon in the lead. So that could work pretty well, but I don't know if there's a lot of... I should be saying lightning, not electric, but I don't know if there's a lot of lightning stuff that is super useful. Next 10 packs. Jumping on in, we've got the Hoot Hoot, Clefairy, Mawile, Donphan. During your next turn, this Pokemon's rolling spin attack does plus 60 damage. Oh, so it's like a rollout shenanigan. Interesting. So that's actually could be pretty deadly, a 60 and then a 120. If you could get something like a Sabrina to bring out a weaker Pokemon, get the KO, and then set yourself up for an even bigger KO in the back, that could be kind of crazy. Obviously, there's no Sabrina in this particular deck, so we might have to look at maybe using some openings to try and open up some other sets, but we'll see what we can do just within this particular deck. And actually, speaking of, here is another Arceus card. So, once during your turn, if you have Arceus or Arceus EX in play, you may do 30 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. Oh, that's sick. That's even from the bench, so you don't have to have Crobat in the active spot. I didn't read the Heracross again. Oh, unknown. Okay, we've got another 1-star card. Check. In capitals, like full capitals, because it's like the unknown letters, which is pretty funny. Once during your turn, you may choose either player. Look at the top card of that player's deck. Okay, so you can either look at the top card on your deck or the top card of the opponent's. I don't know how useful that is in TCG Pocket. Like in the sort of main series TCG game with the full 60 cards, I could really see how that could be incredibly useful for you. I guess like maybe it can give you some sort of insight into whether you should use like, you know, throw Professor Oak in, or if you go for a Pokeball, or what the deal is. But I feel like for the most part, that isn't incredibly useful. But it does look pretty sick. And actually, it's got the letters for the check in the card as well, which is actually pretty cool. Lastly, flip a coin. If heads, your opponent reveals a random card from their hand and shuffles it into their deck. Now that is interesting. I feel like in Pocket, sometimes you really are holding onto cards that aren't very useful to you though. I don't know if it's super viable, but I guess it's if you want to set up that Gengar card that we got a little bit earlier. And Barry, okay, we need the supporter cards. During this turn, attacks used by your Snorlax, Heracross, and Staraptor cost 2 less colorless energy. Okay, I mean, it could be useful, depends what we end up putting into our deck, I suppose. Okay, now here's that Azumarill card. If we wanted to use the Marill, you know, fancy card, it's pretty simple. It's 2 energy for 60 damage. It's got 100 HP. It's not an amazing card by any means, but you know, I don't think that it would be a guaranteed brewing. Interesting, we've got another Arceus one though. If you have Arceus or Arceus EX in play, this Pokemon has no retreat cost. And then its attack is, this attack does 20 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. Okay, so that's not a brilliant card, to be fair, but you know, it sort of is what it is, I guess. Something I didn't mention is that I did intend to sort of use those sort of shop promo A cards, like Professor's Oak, for example, because like you just can't get those in any of the sets, and they're sort of like mainline, like you've sort of got to have them in every deck, so we will be using them as well to build our 20. Now, I've seen a lot of discussion about this particular card, and it is one of the worst cards of all time in TCG Pocket. It's 3 energy, you need Grass and Psychic. It discards 2 random energy, does 120 damage, and you've only got 120 HP. It is just not that good. And it's got a 3 retreat cost as well, which is, it's just one to avoid, which is unfortunate because like you can see the inspiration from the mainline TCG game where like they've got that really powerful Giratina card. I was running it for a while in TCG Live, where, you know, you do discard 2 energy every time you use this attack, but it's such a strong attack and you've got so much health that you can usually, you know, stay around even longer. You've got other item cards that can really help to get your energy sort of stacked back on. That just doesn't exist in the same way in TCG Pocket, so it's pretty terrible, at least with the cards that are currently available in Pocket, but, you know, we have it now, I guess. We haven't seen Arceus EX yet, which... hopefully we get there. You know, here's another Marill. We're getting a lot of repeats. I just need that Arceus EX because otherwise we're going to have to run the Arceus card. And we don't really want to have to run the Arceus card when Arceus EX exists. But hopefully it's in here somewhere. Raichu, Magnemite, Golbat, Oh, okay. I like this art a lot better than the other Houndoom. I'll be honest. No disrespect to the previous artist, but this one is pretty sick. Is it usable? During your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't retreat. That actually is kind of usable if you've got a fire deck going on. Vespiquen, this Pokemon also does 30 damage to itself, 120 damage. I don't know if that's awesome. I guess the only reason that this card could work is because you have, paired with Leafeon EX, you could really get that grass acceleration going on. And so maybe it doesn't take too long to get up to that 3 energy to do 120 damage. So that could actually be a pretty solid closer. We've got the Larvitar. We haven't seen the Tyranitar yet either, but really nice this is great art. Like, I love the sort of cartoonish style, to be honest with you. This is like the ultimate art style in my mind. I mean, the ultimate art style is like the sort of old clay made Pokemons, but still interesting. As much as I would love to be able to use these, really solid cards as well. But here's Arita. Heal 40 damage from each of your Pokemon that has any water energy attached. Now, that isn't even specifically water Pokemon. So if you just bring some water energy into the battle, you can kind of just, splash it onto your non-water Pokemon with the, intent of healing it up with Irida. I'm not actually sure how to say it, but that could be some interesting tech, depending on how much we need it. Here it is! Yes! Okay, the Arceus EX, 140 HP, Fabled Luster, so it can't be affected by any special conditions. That's, sleep, poison, etc. And Ultimate Force, that's 70 plus. This attack does 20 more damage for each of your benched Pokemon. And it's a basic, so you can get it literally at the start of the game. Obviously, it takes 3 energy to get up, but again, Arceus it's not just about being a good attacker on the field. It is about buffing all of your other Pokemon that sort of have those abilities that make them even stronger when Arceus EX is on the field. So this is basically a must bring, seeing as we're trying to build, a deck out of this set. Hopefully we can get a second one so we can sort of increase our odds of actually getting an Arceus EX off rip, but really happy to pick this one up because this is sort of like, I guess, the main try and get outside of, going for the actual sort of, immersive and such. We need a second Arceus EX. Other than that, a second Leafeon would be good. So we could get that going. And then, we could get some immersives. We get some just sick cards because then we'll be just more inclined to use it. I think the Overcast Cherrim could also be useful. I'm a little tempted by the Gengars and such as well. Origin Form Palkia, flip a coin. If heads, this attack does 60 more damage. Again, the fact that it costs 3 energy isn't awesome, but, it's not too bad of a card. Okay, we get another one of these, very nice Marils. If only there was a Zoom rule to match it that we might, come across one day. Starly, Electrike. Okay, Shaman! As long as this Pokemon is on your bench, your active Pokemon's retreat cost is 1 less. That could be a really useful sort of, I guess, supporting Pokemon. The only thing is you really don't want to get stuck with it because the ability reads, as long as this Pokemon is on your bench. So it's not like, if it's the first basic Pokemon you get, you put it up front, you can just retreat it straight away. You will actually have to give it an energy to retreat, and its attack costs 2 energy. So it's not the perfect card by any means. Nose Pass, Ghastly. Here's another unknown, which also has check. And also, again, I just really like that it's sort of like, it does spell check with the unknowns that are available. I think that's pretty sick. Really reminds me of that Chatot card. Oh, okay. Toxicroak. Here it is. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. Do 20 damage to this Pokemon instead of the usual amount for this special condition. So it's sort of introducing Toxic instead of Poison, which in the main series games just does extra poison damage. It's sort of extra shenanigan-y, I suppose. So that could be pretty dire. It only costs 1 energy. Kind of unfortunate that it doesn't actually have any other attacks. So this could be something that you pair with something like I-Form Shaman to try and sort of bring it in, get it out for the 1 cost, and then just keep bringing it into toxic stuff. Okay, there's the Donphan again, which I do like the Donphan. Oh, okay, here's another Arceus one. If you have Arceus or Arceus EX in play, attacks used by this Pokemon cost 1 less energy. So I guess it'll be just 2 waters for 80, which I guess is pretty decent for a 120. It is interesting to me, it feels weird that Abomasnow is water, because it's I understand that it's sort of the ice translation, but it feels just such grassy vibes to me. It's whoa, Alright, I guess. But that's a pretty usable one for sure. And it could really help out with Irida as well, with the 40 HP heals. Bronzor, Nosepass, Hoot Hoot. Oh, okay, Magnezone. Here's another one. If you have Arceus or Arceus EX in play, this Pokemon takes minus 30 damage from attacks. That's not too bad. It's rare that you're going to get a Pokemon one-hit KOing you, but 170 health, or potentially if it sort of takes multiple attacks, it's sort of like, you know, you just increase your maximum starting health. Like, you know, it's like 210 HP if it takes 2 hits, which is kind of good if you're doing a run that steel deck. Power Beam, 80 damage isn't too bad either if you can get it set up. But you do need to go through that Magneton stage as well. We're still lacking the second Arceus EX, which it continues to evade us. Or maybe we try building one first and then it goes terribly wrong. And then, oh, okay, we get a Leafeon EX. Okay, we've got our second Leafeon. Cherrim, Haunter, Clefairy, Pikachu, Arceus again. Druby, Electrike, Clefairy, Vespiquen, and Manectric. Yeah, there's another Magnezone and a Magneton in the same little set. This is our final pack of Triumphant Light, and this is what we're going to have to build with. At this point, we still only have the one Arceus EX, which means that if we don't get one in this pack, which, oh, I don't like the look of that, we are going to have to build, unfortunately, with the sort of single Arceus as well. Okay, we've essentially just ended up with one of the pre-built decks, because the truth is that there's only so much variety within the actual set if you want to stay within the cards we got today. So we are going to be using a Rotom, just as sort of a quick sort of sniper damaging move. We've got the 2 Zubat, 2 Golbat into our Crobat, which again is that sort of, you may just do 30 damage to one of your opponent's active, to your active Pokemon whenever you want, even if Crobat is on the bench, which could be pretty handy. We've got the 2 Krogunk into the Toxic, doing Toxicroak, and then we have the Noctowl line as well to do a quick little 50 damage, just as sort of a bulk damager alongside the 2 Arceus cards and all else. And obviously we've just made our highlight card a Pokeball because I just think that's funny. But let's jump into the battles and see how we do. Okay, we're going second, so a good start because TCG Pocket is a little bit broken in that regard. We've got the Hoot Hoot and the Krogunk. I guess, oh wait, they just conceded on the spot. So, first win! Woo! Man, these cards are crazy good. They were just so threatened by a highlighted card in that first game. Hey, it's scary stuff, I know. I really have a threatening aura. Don't I just give off, like, you know, real tough guy, like, grrr. Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty good. All right. They've also got the Uxie, which take a psychic energy from your energy zone and attach to Mesprit or Azelf. Okay, that's a kind of interesting card. I'm interested to see what this deck is. They've got a Swirlix out as well. And there's the Celebi. They have so much going on for a first turn. It's kind of crazy. We do get the Golbat though, which is really nice. When you use our Professor's Research, we probably should have used Pokeball first up, but you know, it doesn't matter too much. I guess this way we've just picked up 3 basic Pokemon. Fishing for that Arceus EX, but no such luck on this one. I think that what we're going to do is put another Zubat on the bench. We'll just get a Zubat in the back so that we can eventually evolve that one up to Crobat, and then this one that's in the front is just going to be a little bit sacrificial. I mean, we're going to have pretty decent opportunity to swap it out, to be fair. Like the fact is they're only going to be able to attach their first energy on this turn. We know the 4 Pokemon they've got in play. They do have the giant cape though, which is a little annoying. I mean, it really just, you know, cancels out our attack, I suppose. We get the Toxicroak, so this is a big evolve turn. We could actually evolve our Golbat that's in the lead now. Let's attach our Golbat to this one. Well, it doesn't really matter. We'll just put Golbat in play, evolve up Toxicroak, retreat the Zubat to bring in the Toxicroak, because I just want to get funky, to be honest with you. I just want to put some shenanigans in play, and I want to use Toxic. I think that it is an awesome strategy. And so we're just going to get it rolling, instantly do 20 damage, and you know, if this Tangela wants to hang around, then it's going to have to deal with that Toxic damage again. So I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, we get hit with a big 30 damage from Tangela, but that just means that they get poisoned down even more, which is kind of crazy. That's so good for us. Because now we can get the Crobat installed, we can put this guy in, and because of the toxic damage weakening it down, we can, oh hang on, we need to play Arceus so that we can use our Arceus ability, put 30 damage onto the Tangela, get the quick KO, and then we can just do damage onto whatever they swap in. This is kind of sick. I kind of like this. Regardless of what Pokemon comes in, we're not going to be able to get a KO. Although I'm kind of tempted to just go for the Toxic strat again. This is actually a crazy strategy. You leave your Croagunk in the front, you keep just poisoning the opponent, you're chipping down with 30 damage from Crobat, and essentially you're kind of doing like 50 damage every one of your turns, plus 20 damage on their turns, to sort of weaken down their damage. So that's kind of ridiculous. And they just have to sit there. That is so crazy. And we just do it again. Put another 30 damage on. I guess at this point, Toxic is a little bit useless to us. So we could... Oh, what we can do, we can swap out of Toxicroak, bring Crobat in. Crobat, and we'll just put an extra energy on this guy. Crobat can do 50 damage to the Celebi, but then when it changes turns and it does the Toxic checkup, it'll get KO'd. And because that was a Celebi EX, bada bing, bada boom, game one. Okay, this is the sort of strategy that I like to see. Some classic, just annoying shenanigans. It's Toxic strats for a reason. We're becoming a Toxic gamer. We do have the Arceus straight away. Okay, here's actually not too bad of a hand. It's not like the ultimate hand, but we at least get a Rotom that has the ability that if Arceus is in play, it gets a free retreat cost. So we can at least sort of just, you know, whenever we get a Pokemon we actually want to use, we can instantly put it up onto the field. So we want to maximize our chance of getting basic Pokemon on this first turn. So the sequencing of that is to use Professor's Research first, because we have the chance of getting... Okay, there's a Zubat straight away. And then we can use our Pokeballs to sort of guarantee another 2 basic energies, or basic Pokemon, sorry, from the back line. And so I think we're going to play the Croagunk, and then we just used our other Pokeball to thin the deck a little bit so that our next card is more likely to be the Golbat or something that we do actually want to use. Okay, they've got Pinsir in the lead, which is a 2 energy cost for them to attack, so I'm not dramatically scared. It's not like, it's one of those ones that if you have to play first and can't attach an energy on your first turn, you kind of like to see them have to go the sort of the long way around, but it's a little scary because it does have flip 2 coins. This attack does 50 damage for each heads. So there is the possibility of 100 damage off rip, but there's of course the possibility of 0 damage off rip. So, you know, live by the dice roll, die by the dice roll, I suppose. We can at least Professor's Research here to try and get those cards that we want. There's an X speed and there's a Crobat. Okay, so we have our Golbat ready to go into Crobat. We don't have our Toxicroak yet. What's our strategy here? Because we just, like, I have to be very cognizant of the fact that we could be KO'd on the next turn. Okay, I'm going to attach an energy to Arceus, free retreat into Arceus, and have it sit there. The reason that I've done this is because next turn we're going to be able to get a Crobat. We also have an X speed, so with the 1 energy we've attached to Arceus, we will be able to use the 2 retreat cost, retreat out into whatever Pokemon we want. That Pokemon could be Crobat, which only costs 1 energy to use its attack, so we can sort of do that off rip. Ideally, we just draw Toxicroak. That would actually be the ultimate, but, you know, we'll see what we can get. And then... they're going to flip their coins here. They have a chance of getting 0, which would put us in a crazy good spot. Okay, that's 0. So easy. This game's so easy. 0 damage. That's so good. We can evolve up to the Crobat. We can... I think that we just attach another energy to Arceus here, and we're just going to build up its attack. Now that we are guaranteed to get to our next turn, we'll do our 30 damage from the bench because Arceus is in the field, and that's sort of the ability link. And then we just sit here, end our turn, and they can do 100 damage if they want to. We don't mind too much, to be honest with you. Okay, they've got the potion to heal up 20, but to be honest with you, that's going to be pretty inconsequential because our Arceus attack will KO their Pinsir regardless. Now, give me another 0. I would love to see another 0 damage. That's a 0? Oh, this game's ridiculously easy. Guys, how do people lose battles in this game? It's just too simple. We put this guy on here, and to be honest, we don't even need to use Crobat's ability because we get the guaranteed KO anyway, and we'll get our first point on the board. So, pretty good start, I would suggest. How do we lose? That's a legitimate question. How do we lose this? Not only do we have sort of 130 damage off Rip from Arceus, but we also boost that to essentially 160 damage by having Crobat in existence. Okay, the fact that we're waiting for the opponent and it's about to time out makes me think that did they rage quit? Or like, have they left? We get it. You don't need to waste our time. Just if you want to just waste our time and wait till every timer finishes, you can just click the concede button. I will allow you to click the concede button. Okay, they actually do hang on for an extra turn, but you know, we're still not in a bad spot at all. Oh my gosh, just let it go, man. Why do you want to be so annoying? Is it because I was being... No, and of course, they attach the energy at the last possible... Okay. GG's trainer, we get the win. I've always gone straight for the move, not attached energy and supporters and shenanigans, but we got there eventually after waiting for what felt like hours. Oh, the Magikarp start. That's actually crazy. Leap out. Switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. It's a sick card art. Like, obviously, it's a classic. Like, it's got that nostalgia value, I suppose, but it's pretty funny. I really like it. Oh, they do have the Druddigon just waiting to get swapped in a little bit later. So anyway, let's try and get some stuff happening. So, Professor's Research. We've got the Rotom and the Zubat. Okay, we love to see the Zubat getting into play. We'll try and pick up an Arceus if we can with both of our Pokeballs. Just so we can sort of enable getting that Crobat sort of in play later on. But no such luck this time around, which is totally fine. We'll just throw 20 damage on and sort of call it a day on this one. And then hopefully we pick up the Crobat on the next one. Oh, okay, they've just reduced their retreat cost by 1. And they heal up their Magikarp, which feels a little bit like they've just got a potion card in their hand, so they may as well. I guess they're just like, you know... I mean, Crobat is able to do that 30 damage. That's sort of sneaky, but it's probably the safest play. Now, Druddigon is really annoying because Druddigon has that ability. If this Pokemon is in the active spot and is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, do 20 damage to the attacking Pokemon. Okay, they've got the Gyarados in and they have the Misty. Flip a coin until you get tails. Take a water energy for each heads in a row. We got pretty lucky in the last one, but hopefully... 2. Okay. 2 energy isn't awesome for us because it does mean they're already up to 3. And once they get up to 4, they can do 140 damage and discard a random energy from among the energy attached to all Pokemon, both yours and the opponent's. So anyone's energy is up for grabs, which is so scary. We can put Toxic on here, but Druddigon is probably going to retreat. Let's Professor's Research, see what we can pick up. Another Zubat. Okay, and a Golbat. Great. We love seeing the Golbat in play. I'm thinking that we could put Toxic, because here's the thing. Toxic won't do any damage to Druddigon, so we would actually keep our HP intact. But Gyarados will be able to do 140 if they can swap Druddigon out, which is kind of devastating. But we'll throw the Toxic, not get damaged because we're not doing damage to Druddigon. We're just putting Toxic on it, and that will slowly whittle it down. But the opponent is going to try and get Gyarados into the active spot as soon as they possibly can. So hopefully they don't have any tech cards that lets them do that. I would love to see them sort of... Okay, they've attached their energy to Gyarados. Now what? Can they do anything this turn, or they just have to wait? So I mean, eventually... Oh wait, Leaf, what does that do? Retreat cost is 2 less! Oh. Well, rip Toxicroak, and also goodbye the Toxic that was on Druddigon. And so now we're in some trouble. Because even if, like, chances are, they KO a Toxicroak. Chances are they're going to discard their own energy, and that is what happened by the as it turns out. But they can just keep attaching that next turn. And so now I'm like, well, how do we get out of this one? I don't know. I feel like we've just lost it on the spot. At least we get the Arceus in play, but we don't have anything that really benefits at this point. Where is the concede button? Because I'll just concede. Concede. Yeah, that one was going to be tough to work out. I really don't have any inbuilt tech to get myself out of, like, big, scary Pokemon that are already ready to go. I guess I'm kind of just set up to try and take them down as early as possible before they even have the chance. We've got the Zubat Croagunk combo, so let's put our Croagunk in the lead, our Zubat in the back, and call it a day. Hope that we get our Toxicroak and Crobat in action. Go from there. Okay, we're up against a ground deck, which is a little unfortunate because we are weak to those suckers. But I guess plus side is that they do have a Geodude in the lead, which has a 2 energy attack cost, so they can't get to it straight away. We've also drawn the Toxicroak, so we'll be able to get that going next turn. Look, we'll see how this goes, because like the weakness is plus 20, so their attack is 30. They'll be able to essentially do 50 damage on their first attack, which is really yikesy. We'll put our Arceus in, ready to go for the Crobat. Obviously, we're still a ways away from that. We can at least throw in Toxicroak and put a Toxic onto Geodude. We know that we're going to get hit by 50 on this next turn, probably. We just have to hope that there's not a Graveler that they can evolve into that is going to do 80 damage to us on the next turn. This is where the lack of card knowledge really comes in to bite. But hopefully it all works out okay, because the longer this Geodude stays in, whether it's a Geodude or a Graveler, hopefully we should be able to add up some damage to it. I'm thinking we kind of just power up our Arceus in the back. As much as it isn't like a great card or anything, it's just sort of a, you know, Elite is not a poison type that's going to take super effective damage. Now that is pretty unfortunate for us that they are able to get a big 70 damage through from Primeape. We don't love to see that sort of thing. We do get the Golbat evolve, which at least gets us on the road to that. We can X-speed it out. Look, we'll just retreat into Hoot Hoot, do 20 damage. We're in with something that is at least going to survive one attack, but yeah, I don't, we need a Crobat on the next turn. If we get a Crobat on the next draw, whether it's through actual Crobat or Professor's Research or Pokeball, or we can't get it through Pokeball, so I guess the first two, we can maybe make something happen, because we could put 30 damage from our ability onto Primeape, and then we can do 30 damage to get the KO. But if we don't get that, I'm not sure what the play... Okay, we get the Crobat. Great. That is so good. Okay, so we can do our Cunning Link to do 30 damage straight off rip. Put that 30 damage on. Then what we can do is we could swap in Crobat to do it. That's actually kind of our only play. Because I was thinking we could go into Toxic, but that doesn't do enough. So we are actually going to, need to just put an energy on Crobat, put it into the firing line, retreat from a Hoot Hoot. Crobat comes in, does 50 damage, and we just have to recognize that we are going to get hit next turn, which we don't love to see, but a Crobat does have the free retreat cost, so it's not too bad. We don't really have to burn that energy necessary, and we're going to have that 50 damage still sort of sitting around. But, okay, they literally do nothing because they can't get up to their attack. That is really handy for us. So we'll Professor's Research, see what we can draw. There's a Pokeball. There's an Arceus EX, which is a lot better. Let's go for the Pokeball just to thin the deck a little bit, because, you know, we may as well. Now, at this point, what do we do? What are we trying to accomplish here? Because they will be able to KO us on the next turn, because they attach an energy to Stonejourner. We'll just use their energy ability while we're here. They attach an energy to Stonejourner, does 90 damage, which plus 20 because of the ground weakness would KO Crobat. It'll also KO Toxicroak. It'll KO anything except Arceus, but Arceus would just be sitting there to take a hit for no real reason. So what do we actually do here? Okay. I've thought of something. So we free retreat into Toxicroak. We are going to sacrifice our Toxicroak. We'll just attach our energy to the Arceus, I guess, because we keep talking about it, and so we may as well use it. I'll throw Toxic onto Stonejourner. When it goes to their turn, they're going to go down to 70 HP. If they keep Stonejourner in, which they will need to if they want to get the KO from Stonejourner, they'll then go down to 50 HP. I can swap Crobat back in, get the 50 HP KO on Stonejourner, and they now have no energy. Oh, they have a potion. Oh, never mind. That really ruins our plans. Oh, no. Oh, dear. That is... well, now what? that was kind of my entire plan. Hang on. Wait, this still works, right? Because then I pass it back to them, and then they get KO'd. Like, it comes to me, they go down to 70, I bring them down to 20, I pass it back to them, and they still get KO'd. And we can build a new Krogunk in the back line. With that in mind, maybe we could have done something else. I really just forgot about the ability to do 30 damage from Crobat, to be honest with you. But, hey, not too bad. We're at 2 points, they're at 1 point. I don't think they can get a KO on us this turn. They swap into the old Amber. So we're presumably going to see an evolution coming in here. Unless this is just them sort of pseudo resigning. Okay, no, they get the Aerodactyl, which takes 2 energy to do 80 damage. Your opponent can't play any Pokemon from their hand to evolve their active Pokemon. Doesn't matter to us. Yeah, okay, they're just sitting here. So we can lock in the 30 damage from Cunning Link. They will be able to do 80 damage plus 20 on the next turn, which isn't enough to KO the Crobat, which means we can bring this down to 60. We will survive an attack from Aerodactyl, which means that we can do another 30 damage and then the next 50 damage to secure the KO on Aerodactyl this turn, which will secure us the win in the game and actually get us to 4 points out of a needed 3. So, hey, it all works out and they go for it. So, again, we won't... Well, we do have to mess around a little bit. We have to do the 30 damage to then actually use our Darkness Fang. But we get... And they conceded correctly so, because, yeah, GG's. That was, you know, another solid sort of comeback story, I guess. Okay, so we were able to put a deck together with all of the cards that we opened up. Definitely had a lot of fun. I actually really enjoy that sort of toxic strategy. If it wasn't clear enough that I did enjoy it, I love the ability to sort of strategize, work around where you need to put damage, what you need to sort of bring out where. Obviously, the deck could really be improved quite a lot if we were using cards from other series. So for example, if we had some Sabrinas in the mix, we would definitely be performing a little bit better because we would really be able to sort of, I guess, work with our moving damage around a little bit more. But I still had a really good time, and this definitely won't be the last TCG Pocket from me. But again, I have to give a massive thank you to the Pokemon Company International for hooking us up with all of that gold so we could open up all of these packs. Definitely gonna have a bit more practice with these decks over the coming days and weeks. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, especially that subscribe one. And of course, you can go and follow on Twitch if you want to catch these sorts of things live. But thanks everyone in the in the chat as well. But with that said, see you in the next one and let me know what you would like to see next. But till then, catch you then. Bye.